All right, guys, we're back. It's been right at 23 and a half hours or so, so the RTV is cured, ready to refill. Finally get to use my Mac rebranded Mighty Vac filler. I've got 8 quarts of CVT, CVTF2 CVT fluid loaded up in it. I'm probably going to need 2 more quarts before we're over with, so we're ready to start pumping that in. But before we do that, we got to hook the Subaru Select monitor up, clear all of the fault codes from before, and get ready for the refill. All right, so in the car, I got the Select monitor hooked up. Let's go through, and we'll go to the transmission, and clear the codes there, clear any engine codes. I don't believe we had any. Got our 2764. Clear that. Done. Turn ignition switch off. For some reason, you have to turn the ignition switch off for 10 seconds before you turn it back on to go back into the scanner to clear codes on the newer Subarus with the actual factory tool. I believe the snap-on scanner actually makes you do that as well. All right, back. So, transmission control system again. Yep, CVT, diagnostic code display, temporary codes. No diagnostic codes present. Memorized codes. No diagnostic codes present. Go back again. Go into the engine. EJ253. Diagnostic trouble codes. No codes temporary. We got the 700 there we need to get rid of. So F2, clear the code. Done, turning this switch off. Okay, 10 more seconds. And we should be good. We'll go ahead and leave the screen here and pull the key out of ignition to stop that horrible beeping sound. And we'll go into the car and start filling the transmission up till it's full with the engine off. Then we'll come in, start the engine up, run the transmission through the gears, and then put it back in park and continue to fill the transmission till it won't take any more fluid and starts dripping out of the fill plug. All right, fill plug is right here on the back of the TR690. If I recall correctly, on the TR580, it's on the side of the tail housing, side of the case. It's facing rearward on the 690. So time to go ahead and refill this. Normally this is a pain to do, especially if you're like pumping out of the individual quart-sized bottles. A fluid syringe or some kind of fluid transfer pump is highly recommended for this. A lot easier, again, if you're working on a lift instead of on jack stands. So we'll go ahead and run our line down here. And to find a good way to anchor this thing so it don't come flying back out like that and spill everywhere, because I don't think I can pressurize it and then pump it while outside of the vehicle. Hopefully that is good and it doesn't pop out of there. Let's get topside and start pumping this fluid. So far so good. Fluid is moving nicely. This is by far the easiest I've ever refilled one of these transmissions. Really glad I picked up this fluid transfer pump. So we've got about 4 liters in at this point, watching the gauge on the side of the transfer pump. And there we go. We're dribbling out, pull the pressure off. So we don't waste any more of that CVT fluid than we have to. So we'll let that dribble out. Actually, we need to go ahead and cap that off. We're wasting fluid. When we start the engine, it'll definitely draw the rest of that in there. Let's go ahead and cap that off. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and temporarily tighten the fill plug and wipe up any of that spilled CVT fluid. I'm gonna add probably 2 more quarts of CVT fluid to the fluid transfer pump, just so we have more than enough. Don't wanna run out when refilling, but once I do that, I'm going to start the engine and run the transmission through all of the gear selection ranges. Hold it there for a good 10 to 30 seconds per, just to get the fluid circulating through the cooler and all of the orifices in the transmission. All right, time to start the engine up and run the transmission through the gears. Also going to monitor CVT fluid temperature. I believe it has to be about 115, 120 degrees Fahrenheit to be at proper fill level. So while the engine's warming up a little bit, we'll go into the transmission data and find our CVT fluid temperature. There's our ATF temperature. We are currently at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's go ahead and run the transmission through the gears. A little bit of a gurgling noise as the pump starts sucking that fluid and circulating it through all the lines. In neutral. Like I said, hold it here between 15, 30 seconds normally per gear. A little bit of a bogging there in drive. Again, all that fluid's got to get through there. Also got to go through and do the learn procedure with the new fluid. Pretty much hold it in each gear until any kind of noise or uneven idle or anything subsides. Hear that suction noise again. In reverse, as more fluid's being sucked up and circulated. Back to park. I'm going to go one more through there. A lot of that noise is probably because we're still a little bit low. We're not to proper full level yet. Back to park, we'll go under there, remove our drain plug again and start filling until transmission fluid comes out again. Again, temperature is at 91, we'll have to check, keep an eye on the temperature. So we'll just continue filling and watch, make sure We got it at the correct temperature. Again, like 115, we're at 90 something now, so we're very close to optimal temperature for checking the fluid. We're at 93. Just keep pumping that fluid in. And there we go. And throw that fill plug back in there. Clean up our spilled CVT fluid. All right, cycled through the transmission again. Temperature is at 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, optimal temperature for checking the fluid level is 95 to 113, so we're within specification. We'll go ahead and remove that drain plug or fill plug one more time. Let it drain a little bit till it comes to a slow dribble, and then we'll tighten it for the final time and begin the learn process. There we go. Clean up the rest of our spilled CVT fluid. And we'll go upstairs, get in the cabin and clear the adaptives and do the learn procedure. And we'll be ready for a test drive. All right, key on, car's off. Back in here, AT learning, actually clear memory 1. Yes. Ignition switch off. Okay. Wait 10 seconds. Clear memory 2. Yes. Ignition off. All right, transmission control. I literally sweat to death. AT learned, learning inspection, AT learning mode. Turn headlights off, air conditioner, all this off, yada, yada, yada. Turn all the things off. Warm up the engine until ATF temperatures between 104 and 149. So we need to let it run a little while to get up to temperature. And we'll be back. All right, we're ready to go. Temperature is set. Lift up the vehicle and put parking brake on. Parking brake is on. We're up in the air. Okay. Turn off the ignition switch. Start engine, turn off eyesight if equipped. Hit OK. Fully depressed brake pedal. Once engine speed gets stabilized after starting the engine, select drive. We're in drive. Fully depress the brake pedal and keep pressing as we do our AT learning. Release the brake pedal. Put it in reverse. Neutral. Turning the ignition switch off. I mentioned this is a complicated process with lots of steps. Start engine, turn off eyesight if equipped, press OK. AT learning normally ended. We are complete. Transmission is relearned. Our automatic temperature light is not flashing anymore. Our programming went through. Everything worked correctly. We can go ahead and get the car off of the jack stands and go for a test drive. We still need to replace that torque converter because of the clutch failure, but our main issue here was the failed solenoid in the valve body. So we can do the torque converter at a later stage, which we probably will elect to because my brother's been without this car for about a week now, and the torque converter clutch issue he's had going on for several months. So we might wait a little while to do that. That way we can do the rear main seal, the air oil separator plate, and a couple other things because I noticed some oil leaking from the back of the engine, and it's on the bottom of the front differential and the bottom of the CVT pan. So we might as well reseal that stuff when we've got the engine pulled for the torque converter replacement. Also, I'm still waiting on one O-ring I need for that replacement, so we can't do it at this time. All right, guys, it's post-repair test drive time. Hopefully you can hear me. I've got the AC blasting because it is a hot, hot day here in the south. I believe it's in the 90s. Humidity is through the roof. I am basically dying, sweating out, soaking wet. So let's see how she does now with the fresh valve body and a nice relearn, reprogram of the CVT and fresh fluid. No low speed buck as we had before. No horrible wheel bearing noise as we had before because we already fixed that. I know you can't hear it in the video, and I can barely hear because of the air conditioning blower motor so high. But the CVT actually sounds a lot quieter now than it did before. Before I thought I heard some bearing noise in the transmission, but not hearing that now. Might have just been some of that grit and that 200,000 mile transmission fluid. But driving very smoothly. No issues, knock on wood. No lights, no erratic behavior from the transmission. So nice little test drive. I'll pop back in at the conclusion or if we have any hiccups. All right, guys, so successful test drive on the repair we performed on the valve body replacement. No warnings, no abnormal shifting. I know it doesn't shift this CVT, but you know what I mean. No crazy bucking or erratic behavior, not so much crazy shifting. Operation would be a better way to put it. But everything worked as it should. I did get the vehicle to stall out at a stop due to that issue with the torque converter clutch not unlocking. I did almost stall it a second time, but I let it get down to a point where I felt the torque converter finally release before I fully stopped the car, so it would not stall it. So we do have the new torque converter. That's going to have to go in. We're going to have to pull the engine. And like I said, we'll go ahead and put a rear main seal, reseal the oil air separator plate, and all that stuff. Take care of that all at one time. But you know, other than that, what we did today was successful. One part of the repair is done. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.